What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today, as y'all seen from the title, we are going to be finishing the Serie A and Bundesliga mid-season review predictions. So let's go ahead and start with the Serie A with a little refresher. So this was my original list that I had at the beginning of the season. It was Inter in first, Roma in second, Juventus in third, Milan fourth, Como in fifth. I don't know. Como está ahí? Ha.
Shut your
Napoli in sixth place, and my gosh, I got it completely wrong. But let's go ahead and start with Napoli, who I had them in sixth place, and I was far off, because right now they are currently fighting tooth and nail for first place. I mean, they just beat Atalanta 3-2 by coming back in the scoreline multiple times, and beat Juventus just yesterday 2-1 by also coming back in the game. And although they just lost Kvaratskhelia, this team has been incredible this whole season. And Giza has been incredible. Martinez, who was a Manchester United reject, is an incredible midfielder for Napoli. Lukaku's incredible. Politano seems to have stepped up. The defense is pretty good as well. And maybe David Neres can be that player who can somewhat fill that role that Kvaratskhelia left. Now, their defense, as I said, is incredible. They've only received 14 goals, which is the lowest amount of goals received from a Serie A team. Now, although they still need to face Roma and Milan in a couple of tough teams, one of those including Inter, who they are currently fighting for the title for. Other than that, it doesn't seem like the hardest schedule. Now, will they be able to maintain a consistent play and overpower an incredibly strong Inter team? I'm not sure, considering Inter are super close, and they even have one game behind, and if they win that game, Inter would go up front for the title race. So for just that reason, because Inter is just an incredible team, I'll put Napoli finishing up in second. But it's gonna be a really close one. And talking about Inter, they are currently in second, and as I said, they have one game less than Napoli and are just 3 points behind. If they can just get that win, they'll finish on top of them, because they score a lot of goals and their goal difference is absolutely insanely good. Now, Inter Milan does have a lot tougher schedule than what Napoli has at this point for the second half of the season. I mean, they gotta play teams like Milan, who beat them in the Coppa Italia. They have to play Napoli. They have to play Atalanta. But I mean, this team is extremely strong. I mean, they've only lost one game in the entire Serie A. So I think with this team having Lautaro, Thuram, all of these incredible strikers, Nicolo Varela, this incredible defense with Bastoni, I think you just can't beat Napoli into the Scudetto. So I think they're going to win it back-to-back, and they're going to finish in first place. Now, moving on into third place as of right now is Atalanta, who I did not even have them in my top 6 for the start of the season. I'm really regretting it, because I thought it was going to be one of those teams where they get into a Champions League and they can't really balance that whole thing out, because they lose a lot of players. But they have really managed to do it, and they're in third place, and they're having a really, really good season. And it seems like this season will serve them to cement themselves as a top 4 team and really start going serious for that Serie A title. So I do think they're going to end up in third place, but by any means is that a bad season for them. Now, in fourth place, we have Lazio, who similarly to Atalanta are having a pretty good season, mostly because Milan and Juventus seems to have completely slacked off. But we're not going to take anything away from Lazio. I haven't seen much of them, but if they're in fourth place, it's for a reason. They have, I believe, 2 points clearance from Juventus, which is not bad. So maybe they can finish in fourth, but I just don't think so. So if Lazio's not going to make it into the top 4, who is it? It's our next team, Juventus, who are currently in 5th place, who have drawn 13 games out of their 22 matches. That's a lot of draws. And they just received their first loss. So this team is all over the place. It seems to be a bit bipolar, but it's a young team. They're rebuilding the whole philosophy. I mean, they just brought in Thiago Motta for this season. So I think Juventus are starting to kind of find their footing, and start pushing to at least finish in Champions League spots, which is why I'll put them in fourth place. Now, there's other teams that are really fighting to get those spots, which is Milan Fiorentina, and Bologna, which Milan and Bologna are both tied in points, and Fiorentina is just 1 point behind. And what separates getting into Europe and not getting to Europe, I believe, is just one match, three points between Juventus and these 3 teams right here. Which brings me on to Milan. I had them in 4th place because I did see that they were just super inconsistent. There seemed like there was a lot of egos in their dressing room, and I was proven right. I mean, this team is currently completely divided. The game against Parma today, there was a fight between the manager and Calabria. I mean, is there any more proof that they are divided? For that reason, for all that turmoil that's in the club, I just don't think, even with all of that talent, they're gonna finish in the Champions League spots. But I think they're at least finish in 6th place. Now, a team that's just nowhere near to where I expected them to be was Roma. I don't know why I put them in 2nd place, but they are currently in 9th place, and they are also divided. They are far from Europe, and sadly they will not end up being in Europe, I'm not gonna lie. And similarly to them, Como, who I don't know why I put them in the top 6 fighting for Europe after their first season back from relegation. They are currently fighting relegation, but hopefully they will be able to stay and build upon them staying in the Serie A. So this leaves me with my new revised list, which would be Inter finishing in 1st, Napoli in 2nd, Atalanta in 3rd, Juventus in 4th, Lazio in 5th, and Milan finishing up in 6th place. Now we're done with the Serie A ones. Let's go ahead and start with the Bundesliga. So for the Bundesliga, I actually predicted that Dortmund would come 1st, Bayern 2nd, Leverkusen in 3rd, and Stuttgart would come in 4th. Now Dortmund, inevitably, they are in 11th place, suffering a really bad crisis. I mean, they just lost their manager after losing to Bologna. Nuri Sahin, I mean, that guy had just won 7 out of their 18 matches in Bundesliga. Well deserved a sacking. And currently they don't even have a manager. And they are looking, even Ten Hag, I don't know how. Maybe Ten Hag would thrive in Dortmund. I don't know. But I don't see them even finishing in the top 4. I mean, these guys are really in the shitter. They are so far from European football, period, even Europa League football. So I don't see them even finishing in top 4. Now let's go ahead and go on to the first Bayern Munich, who are in 1st place. They score a bunch of goals. They are 1st by 6 points. I mean, incredible cushion. But this is one of the worst Bayerns that I have ever seen, at least in the Champions League. They are super duper bad in the Champions League. I don't know if it just because I can't see the Bundesliga games. I don't have ESPN Plus. But just from seeing the Champions League, their defense is horrendous. They don't have any cohesion within the attack and the defense. So I don't know how they are in 1st place so clear, but they're clearly gonna win, even if they have an absolutely horrendous defense. Now Leverkusen are in 2nd, and even though I would hope Leverkusen to win so that they could wake up Bayern Munich and let them know, hey, we gotta get our stuff together, I don't think they're gonna win. I mean, as I said, they're 6 points behind Bayern Munich, so I think Bayern Leverkusen is gonna finish 2nd place. Now on to Frankfurt, who is one of the teams that have replaced Dortmund in this top 4 race, who are in 3rd place pretty comfortably and have had a pretty good season. Of course, they're not going to be fighting with Leverkusen and Bayern to try to get the Bundesliga title, but at the same time, they have a pretty good cushion above Stuttgart and Leipzig and Mainz. So if they can just keep this form up, they can comfortably finish in 3rd place. And in 4th place, we have Stuttgart, who is actually level in points with RB Leipzig, which both seem to be struggling balancing the Champions League football and the Bundesliga football. And these two teams really have to step it up because they have Mainz, a giant killer. I mean, these guys beat Bayern Munich and Leverkusen, and Frankfurt even. They were one of the guys that hurt their run a lot, and they have to be really careful of Mainz, who is a giant killer. They've beat Bayern Munich and both Leverkusen, and are only 1 point behind of them. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plans out, with 3 teams really fighting hard to get into that Champions League spot. But overall, I'll still keep my Stuttgart pick because that was my team that I picked first. I believe Bayern is going to win it. Leverkusen is going to end up second. Frankfurt will end up third pretty comfortably, I believe. And as I said, I'll keep Stuttgart fourth. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be it. That was my mid-season top 4 league predictions. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye, guys.